This morning, I want to go a little over what I know about the algorithm and how it can affect you and your channel dramatically and how you can have some effect on it. The algorithm isn't something that's devised to cause you problems. And sorry about that. That sun is right in my eyes this morning. I'm not as early as I normally am. I stopped and grabbed some coffee. Uh, so it's getting to me. So I may turn here just a little bit away from it instead of having it in my eyes once I get a little bit down this dock. But either way, let's talk about the algorithm today and what I've seen from a programming perspective, from a technical perspective, what it does and what I think it's doing and how I think this will help you. So the algorithm is bundling people together to bring them to your website, to bring them to your channel. It takes, for example, it will take a group of people. If you're building a channel based on lawnmowers and you put out a video that they take a pool of, let's say, 1,000 people, and the algorithm will send this information to 1,000 people. Now, I want to point out this is all guesswork on my part based on what I've seen the algorithm doing, what I think the algorithm's doing. I have no insights to behind the scenes or what's really going on. This is basically just my interpretation of what I'm seeing. So this 1,000 people, at this point, they don't really trust, the algorithm doesn't really trust your channel. It doesn't know who you are, and it's just trying to figure it out. So it may start with, and I'm going to use a more significant number. Let's say it starts with 5,000 people. And I've seen a lot of videos when I first get started. It'll show that it goes out and it shows it to impressions, and it shows it to 5,000 people. And then the number of hits that you get basically says, I don't know, let's say click-through rate on something like that is um, 5, meaning you got 1% click-through rate, 10 meaning you got a 2% click-through rate, 15 meaning you got a 3% click-through rate. And so that would tell the algorithm how close that group of people match to the video that they have. Now, once they do this, they can identify, let's say it was 20 people, let's say it was 4%, a fairly good number. Um, Fairly good, meaning it's not great and you can do better, but you should be, hoping for at least 4 or 5%. At least in my market, that's what I expect. I like to see it at the very beginning be up over, around 10%, but that's for another day. So the algorithm takes this 5% or 20 people, 4%, 4 or 5%, and it says, okay, let's see if I have a group of people that match this. Now the problem is that at this point, your video, if those people who watched it didn't consume it. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you had a 10-minute video and they consumed, 30 seconds and left. Then now you've got a 4% that's deteriorated from that point to they only watched, um, 60 seconds on average, meaning they only watched 10%. So you only get 10% of 4%, which is 4/10. Um, 4/100ths of a tenth of a percent or something along those lines. Um, that puts them in a very, very bad spot to be able to promote you with any type of payback. They have to show it to thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people to get it. And so the problem is that the algorithm isn't just looking at your video, it's looking at what can it do to make the most money right now. And if it sees that it has this bucket of very well-defined um, ideas, in other words, a channel who posts every day on fishing reels, and every day it posts a video about fishing reels, and it knows exactly who to give these videos to. And those are the same people that you're going after, or have the same attributes as the people that you're going after. They're going to give the views to this guy over here, not to you over here. So the one thing you've got to remember is the stats are very deceiving when it comes to the algorithm, because you're not looking at purely, hey, I got X percent of click through, and hey, I got X percent of people to watch my video. You're doing that in comparison to this magic hidden entity over here right off the edge of the screen that you can't really see. And that makes it very difficult, and it makes the statistics a little bit deceiving and very difficult to gauge. Now, it does give us the best idea that they have of how the quality, and then what I mean from quality is from their perspective, the quality of the content that they're trying to distribute. They can use that quality number versus this quality number in order to come up with a solution for what are they going to distribute. That said, as you can see, the algorithm is then the next day when you post another video, it's going to go out and do the same thing. It's going to send you to a pool of 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 people, and it's going to get a response back. But now you've got one follower, let's say the first day, and that one follower is the first person who looks at it, and because it goes out on your stream first, and you'll notice when it goes out on your stream, you should have a higher turnaround. You should have a higher impact of what is going to work. In other words, if I show it to 10,000 of your subscribers and 10,000 random people, I should get a good response from the 10,000 of your subscribers. If I don't, it's because your subscriber pool, your your ideal person isn't focused enough for them to use it and to rely on it. And that makes it very difficult, again, for the algorithm to promote you and advertise you to the right people. So, and unfortunately, the algorithm is not a very simple subject to discuss, because there are so many facets and you have to walk through it one piece at a time to really understand it. But the next piece you really have to understand is that when you focus your videos on a very small niche, which is why you always hear niche down, you are grouping those people tighter and tighter for the algorithm to be able to find them. And it's better than broad. Some people say, well, I want to get a broad spectrum so I attract a lot of people. Actually, you're making your spectrum smaller, not bigger. And let me explain what I mean by that. Let's say that in the whole universe of the world, there are 1,000 people who go fishing, and there are 1,000 people who go hunting. And let's say that half of the fishermen also go hunting. That means that if your channel is about both fishing and hunting, there are 2,000 total people in your universe that you could attract to watch your video. Unfortunately, there are only 500 that you appeal to, because you turned off 500 of the fishing by having hunting content, and you turned off 500 of the hunting by having fishing content. Now, will there be some stretch over? Yes, the 500 like both, but there's no way for you or me to ascertain the percentage of that gray line and how much it leans one way or leans the other. And you're going to have to, that's where the algorithm becomes very, very picky about things like this. So when you start adding content like that, you narrow that pool, and you can imagine, bubbles of influence for hunting here, fishing here. And when you add a third one, let's say archery, now your sliver of that 500, another 1,000 archers, and that 500 may drop down to 100 or 200. And so the algorithm is now going to go out and look for people who do fishing, hunting, and archery. and they're going to send them to your channel. Chances are they're going to hit when they come. But sliver is so small that you would have been better off just sticking with hunting or sticking with fishing. And this is why the algorithm is so difficult for a lot of people to understand. That just because more people don't mean bigger pool. It could be filtering the pool down to the point where there is no people in your pool as opposed to lots of people in your pool. So when the algorithm finishes that next 1,000, it is going to send you the next video to your people again. And as you go through this process of starting to collect subscribers, a bigger and bigger portion of that initial 5,000 or 1,000 or however many people it's sending it to are going to be return visitors. And those, it weighs much more heavy on its algorithm, in the algorithm, give it much more weight. In other words, how much does it matter if some random person walking by your channel looked at it, as opposed to how much does it matter that this person that you're looking for fishing wants to watch a fishing video? This means a lot. This might, if they like fishing. And so this is where the algorithm is going to, and when I use the word algorithm, I use it as a synonym to basically say the people watching your channel, because all it's doing is watching who's watching your channel. All it's doing is picking categories of people in your channel and combining those categories to come up with who, a persona of who wants to watch your channel. And you have to remember that this has nothing to do with computer programs or anything like that. This has to do with what the people that you're trying to attract, content they want to see, and putting them into buckets and checking those buckets to make sure the buckets are the same as your channel. And when those two match, then they allocate some time for your videos to be presented to those people. And when they're presented to those people, the more times they click on it becomes your click-through rate. And that's what all of this algorithm talk is about. So if you want to use the algorithm, and then let me finish the whole thing here, because otherwise we're going to run out of time. If I don't finish the whole story, then you're going to say, well, we started understanding the algorithm and then we forgot about it. After it does the 1,000 and it keeps doing this, you're going to find one video here and there where you appeal to the majority of the people in your subscriber list. And this will allow them to say, hey, you know what? I really do know that this person is serious about fishing, because he started with no subscribers. I showed him thousands of subscribers every video. Now he's picked up, or I showed him thousands of views. Now he's picked up 100 subscribers. And when he puts out a video, a large portion of them want to watch this video, confirming that this persona is where the algorithm needs to go find you more people. Now, it's more complicated than that, because the algorithm may be looking at very intricate details within this persona. It may be saying, hey, look, the people that are in your persona that are looking for fishing and only fishing, always, absolutely, always watch your videos. And the people who do hunting and fishing will watch it, but only half of the time. Or the people who do fishing and knitting will only do it half of the time, or a third of the time, or whatever. So there's some more complexities behind the scene, but the basic concept is the same. That the more narrow-minded you can be with your video creation, the more narrowly you generate. Now, a lot of people at this point stop me and say, but I don't want to be limited to that point. I agree. I don't want to be limited to that point either. But let me suggest that the content that you start with for your first 10, 15, 20 videos needs to be very, very selectively organized to a persona of the type of people you want. And the more narrow you can make that, the more likely you are to be successful with the algorithm and to get more views. Now, as you grow, the ability to stretch that pool becomes very easy. In other words, when you're at 2 viewers and half of your viewers don't watch it, they see that as 50% don't watch your video, meaning this persona might not be right. If you've got 5,000 subscribers and half of them don't watch it. That's 2,500 people, and you're still shot on, buddy. You are easily within the algorithm's ability to identify good people for you to watch your videos. As a matter of fact, the algorithm might even see in different videos, different groups within your group that it can attract to future videos. And so this is the important aspect of it. Then you can start to venture out and once every now and then release something that's out of the ordinary, unusual, unlikely to appeal to the whole audience, and you can stretch those bounds a little bit. On my solar channel, I like to occasionally release something that's off the RV side of type things, where maybe it's not directly solar related. Recently, I did one on a weather station, and because technically it wasn't solar, although the weather station was solar, it really wasn't solar related. But it's quite common for solar people to like it, which is why I did it. So I'm hoping that this helps you focus on the algorithm. And I'm going to take one more step in this process instead of coming back for another video later. Is once the algorithm tries you in that first pool and it sees that you've had success, then it can promote you to a second pool. And the second pool is where it will take, let's say, a group, instead of a group of 1,000 or 5,000 people, it may take a group of 20,000 or 50,000 people and start breaking them up into small pieces and submitting think of it as an advertising campaign, submitting your advertising campaign to them. And depending upon how that first 1,000 does, then they can say, yeah, I think we need to send this to another group within there, and another group within there, and another group within there. And this is where your videos, when they go viral, this is where the algorithm just keeps spoon feeding you. Hey, I'm still the best option for here. This is still the best video for the choice between all the available content right now that I can provide. So it keeps giving them and giving them and giving them. And then when you pass that, then there's the final pool. And the final pool is going to be a much broader selection. And when it starts spoon feeding you there and you apply to that broad group, that's when you really go viral. But you're not going to get to that broad group of going viral when you skip all the steps in front of it. You have to be able to make it past these gates. You have to be able to make it past these initial pieces. Sure, are there flukes where just playing out videos, where playing out some of the types of videos that are out there make it successful no matter what? Sure, yes, there are. And if that's the kind of thing that you want, then there's nothing in this world that can stop you from doing that. And I wish you all the luck. And all the studying in the world's not going to do it if you're after a one-time fluke like that. If you're after long-term successful growth that you can rely on, you're going to have to build a real loyal audience through true passion, through true quality of content, meaning the content is something that they want, and true focus on what you're building so that it makes sense to your audience. I hope this helps. I know it was a lot longer than I was anticipating, and I probably need to come back and visit this subject a few times to make sure that each of the aspects of the algorithm are discussed and you understand them. Thanks so much. If you found this video useful, I would appreciate a like. And if you think I earned it for more content like this, I would love to have a subscription. If I didn't earn it, watch another video. Maybe I'll earn it on that one. Thank you. Have a good day.